Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials on any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
So guys, first thing what I am having in my mind is what is Ansible? What is Ansible? Okay, so when we discuss with the whole world, I mean, when I Google or when I talk to my colleagues and all, we all say Ansible is a configuration management tool. Okay, configuration management tool. Now, I couldn't understand what is the configuration management here. So let's me try to elaborate each and every point here. So when I say tool, basically a tool definition of tool is like saving cost, right? Save cost. Now, whenever we use a different tool, right? It's basically we use a tool for saving cost. Save time. Time is very precious, right? Apart from that saving a cost, it should save time also for doing certain things, and also help you to improve quality and efficiencies. Okay, so that's a definition of tool. Now, what is the definition of management? I think I'm not going to tell you here, because we all are Indian right now in this session, and we know what is the definition of management more than each other. Actually, everyone knows we are good at in terms of management, right? So here, but next question is, what is the configuration? Because you know, here Ansible is managing a configuration. See here, Ansible is managing a configuration, and Ansible is a tool for managing a configuration. But what configuration? What config? Because configuration is a very pretty broad word, right? It can be your AC configuration, it can be room configuration, it can be computer configuration, it can be software configuration, it can be anything. It can be anything. I mean, configuration is a pretty broad word. So guys, when you learn Ansible and when someone is talking about configuration, then always think about it. We are talking about the configuration of server. Mind it here. I said server or servers. Okay. Configuration of server. So now, okay, now I can correlate. Okay. So probably using Ansible, I can manage the configuration of server, which will help me which will help me to save cost, save time, and improve quality and efficiencies. But what way? Saving cost for what? So probably I'm not trying to tell you and give you the advantage and feature, but probably saving a cost for, you know, managing a server. I am saying server, no, servers. See, S always I'm adding it. Managing a server, so it will save your cost. But when I say saving time, then which way? What time? So maybe deploying a app. I'm not saying app, I'm saying apps. multiple apps you want to deploy at, I'm not saying server, I'm saying servers. So you want to save time during the deployment, multiple app at a multiple servers. And then here, when I say quality, efficiency and all, so here probably what I'm talking about is consistent, okay, consistent change in done in all server. So consistent change means same changes which has been done in all the server, which will help you to manage the quality. So okay, so the question was, okay, what is Ansible? Then we understood so far is like Ansible is a way to there's some noise coming from someone, please mute yourself. And yeah, VG, yeah. So yeah, so what is Ansible? So Ansible is a tool for giving you this much of advantages, but for managing configuration of servers. So now, so far so good, but one thing I'm not able to understand. Okay, here I am saying you're managing the configuration, but for servers means multiple server. Whenever I add S, please take it and note it down over there. Servers, S, multiple server. Okay, so now next question I'm having in my mind, what is there in server, each server? Because remember, you are managing the configuration of server. So what is there in each server? That's the first question. So we manage their configuration. Simple. This is the questions we have, you have, we all have. What is there in the each server? So we manage their configuration. So we call Ansible is a configuration management tool. So guys, any idea what is there in the server? Each one of you, what is there in the server? Can you please comment it? What do you find in the server?
Data, application.
Yeah. So can I call this package? Different packages we have. What else? So your laptop itself can act like a server. What do you have in the laptop? So I don't know whether you understood the question or not. The very simple question. What is there in each server which you find? So typically you find file, right? Don't you file different kind of files, right? Different
application
files of,
folders.
yeah. And you find a directory, correct now? You have a file, you have a directory, you have a packages, you have a services, right? These are the things you find in the server, right? You have a users also, you have a group also, correct? You have a policies also, okay, right? So different application packages you have it. So these are the things which we have, okay? Yeah, these are the things which you have, correct? So now think about it. Ansible is a configuration management tool. Configuration management means configuration of servers, and each server you find this one. So basically you are trying to manage the configuration of these stuff in each server at a mass level with the help of Ansible. Okay, with the help of Ansible. So guys, did you understand, all of you, why do we call Ansible is a configuration management tool right now? Did you all understand that? All of you? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes,
guys,
Rajesh.
yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So again, Ansible have a various release actually. Okay, various release. Okay, but before that, me talking to you about the release, you know one thing, this tool is written in Python. Yeah, this tool Ansible is written in Python. Now, which company has is owning this one? It is from the Red Hat. Uh, okay, I think Red Hat was recently acquired by IBM, I guess, right? If I'm not wrong. So, yep, this is written by from the company called Red Hat. Now, let's talk about the different release. So here we have a one release which we call it a Ansible alone. Another one we call it Ansible Tower. Okay, and another release we call it Ansible AWX. Okay, AWX. So now the question I'm having in my mind, what are the difference between Ansible Tower or AWX? So let's understand that. This is a command line tool. Ansible, the one which I'm talking about, is a command line tool. Now, this is a free and it is a open source. Okay, open source. Now, here, when we say Ansible Tower, this has a GUI tool, actually GUI based tool. That means you can get the command line also plus GUI also, both the functionality you get it. Okay, by the way, it is free for 10 server only. Okay, 10 servers only. Rest remaining, it's a paid software. Okay, and this is a enterprise application, it's not a open source. Okay, so this is the different. Now what is the AWX, guys? So basically AWX release also is a CMD plus GUI. Okay, and free for n servers. N server means unlimited servers. Now this is not paid, it is a free and enterprise. So now you must be wondering, okay, fine, what are the difference between Tower and AWX? You must be having in your question, because Tower is also CMD and GUI and AWX is also CMD and GUI, and on top of that AWX is free for every server and still free and it's enterprise friendly. So what is the difference between the Tower and AWX? So here there's no support actually. Yeah, and most non-test, most recent version, most recent version. So this is the most recent. So what they have done, what Ansible have done, they do the release of Tower, Ansible Tower, the most recent version for the testing purpose. They release free of cost to the everyone. So they will not provide any support or as such if if you come across any issues or something, but that will be the most recent version. If you think you want to try and you want to risk out your deployment based on the AWX, you can try AWX also, there's no problem, but you won't get any support. For the support you have to go for the Ansible Tower. Now more or less I have a experience, personal experience. AWX is also very reliable software. Not it's not like if you download the most recent one non-tested copy, then it will break all the functionality. It's not like that. Okay, so these are the three release we have in Ansible. Again, is from the Red Hat, written in Python, and it's a configuration management tool. All of you are understanding this? All of you?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Rajesh.
So there is one question from Rupesh. Let me read this. He's saying, what happens if I have a more than 10 server and support needed? Simple, sir. You have to buy for the license. Simple solution, right? You have to go for a Tower, which you have to go for enterprise, and you have to buy a license. That's simple solution. Okay, so now yes, this is the stuff. Okay, so now we have understood at a high level what is Ansible. Okay, and why do we call a configuration management? Now next question I'm having in my mind, is why Ansible? What Ansible is done, but why should we use it Ansible? Okay, there must be some reasons for it, right? Okay, there must be reason for it. But before I talk about Ansible, why Ansible, understand that this is important section. What you can find in the each server and what you do, configuration of servers, basically configuring these resources. What we call these as a resources. Okay, this we call it a resources. So yep, I'll come back to this. So in a nutshell, understand that Ansible can manage, okay, here Ansible can manage your hardware, software, people, and process. Okay, now you must be wondering, okay, how can Ansible can manage the hardware? So nowadays, if you look at that your server's environment, most of the servers which you are managing, which you are using, basically run by the virtualization software like VMware, Hyper-V, VirtualBox, Zen, KVM, all these are the hypervisor. So now understand that these hypervisor are software. So basically, how do you manage the hardware using Ansible? So basically what happens, this hardware is managed by the hypervisor, and because hypervisor is your software, understand that hypervisor is software, so hypervisor is managed by Ansible. It's very intelligent way, understand that. So Ansible manage your hypervisor, which is a software, and hypervisor manage your hardware. So this way you can manage the hardware indirectly, but here you can manage the software also. For example, all this is a part of the software. Here file, directory, packages, and service. Now here it can manage your people also. So people, when you say users and group, and here also it can manage the process, which is include the policies of the servers. Okay, so in short, that's the reason we call it a Ansible can manage hardware, software, people, and process. Okay, so now next question which I had is why Ansible? Give me the reason for it. So there are many reasons for it. We will learn one by one. So one of the reason is Ansible is, okay, easy to learn. Okay, easy to learn, test, debug, share, extend. Okay, so again, here when I say easy to learn, Ansible is easy to learn. Let's say within a 2 days of training, I guess 2 to 3 days of training itself, you'll be able to deploy your software. You'll be able to manage your servers. Remember always I say servers. You'll be able to manage your server, because if you want to manage one server, shell command is more than sufficient. Bash command is more than sufficient. PowerShell command is more than sufficient. Why to learn any tools or scripting languages and all? No, not required. We want to manage multiple server, and we want to save time also. You want to save time, saving cost also, and improving the quality and efficiencies also. So we need a tool. So here you see here, there's a one reason why we use Ansible is very simple. Ansible is easy to learn. Now, okay, fine, easy to learn, but comparing what? Comparing what? You have to compare, right? So comparing Perl, Python, okay, Bash script, PowerShell. Because when you do the server management, server configuration management, typically you use these scripting languages: Perl script, Python script, Bash script, or PowerShell script typically. But yeah, you may use Java also. Any other programming languages also you can use for the managing the server. But here Ansible is so easy to learn, easy to test also. When you write some program in Perl or Python, Bash, and PowerShell, it's very complicated process to test, but Ansible is very easy to test. If you want to debug, again, this you find very easy to debug also. Let's say if you want to share with your friend the script which you have written, so with the just ease of few minutes, few hours, he'll be able to understand your script. But if you share your Python script or Perl script or Bash script or PowerShell script or Java script, whatever it will take some time to make him understand, because he also need to know Python, or he also need to know Bash scripting and all. And let's say if some of the features are not available in Ansible, so you can easily extend that more feature. Anyone can do extension with any programming languages, they can use it. But when you want to increase the capability of, let's say, Java itself or Perl itself or Bash itself or Python itself, then again you have to have a challenging time. I'm not saying it's not possible, it is possible, but all I am saying is easy to do that. So when it is easy to do that server management, server configuration management using Ansible, so why to use some complicated larger languages and all? Why can we use small languages like Ansible? So that's the one reason. Second reason, you have to give, Ansible is a platform independent. So how come? So let me tell you in a simple way. Let's say you write some server configuration management in a Bash script. So tell me one thing, will it work in the Windows? Of course, no. You know that. Let's say if you write us some PowerShell scripting, will it work in Linux? Of course not. You know that. You know one thing, one PowerShell version also in Windows will not work in the all the Windows version, because PowerShell itself has a multiple releases also, right? Again, same Bash script might not work in the all the platform, because you have Ubuntu which support APT, we have RHEL which support Yum. So different utilities you will find in this. Let's say CentOS, typically we use systemctl. In the Ubuntu we use service to start the service. So many different things you will see that. So Ansible is idiomapotent, that means works on the all platform, works on all platform. Okay, so how it works on all the platform we'll discuss during the architecture discussion, but this is what. Okay, now, third reason which is we have, Ansible is idiomapotent, very powerful feature. Idiomapotent. What is idiomapotent? So let's try to understand in an easy way. What is idiomapotent? So what happens? Let's say Ansible script, you have a 10 steps. Okay. Now this 10 steps, 10 lines of code you can consider, or 10 things to be done. So when you run these 10 steps, first run. Okay, then first time when you run in the servers, remember here, always remember I'm saying servers means multiple server at a time you're running. Okay, I'll talk about it. So here when Ansible is idiomapotent, there's a spelling mistake actually. Yeah, please ignore some of the spelling mistake, because some of the places I will be make it. See here, independent here also, so please ignore the spelling mistake, I'm not focusing too much. Okay, so here see here, Ansible is idiomapotent. Why? Because first time you run, and in your script if you have a 10 steps, then all the 10 steps will be run in the servers. Remember, all the 10 step. Okay, now in the next step when you run, next run, second run, and let's say this 10 steps is already done, it was done. So now if you have a 10 steps and a zero change in the steps, okay, then it will run zero steps actually, because you have not modified anything, right? These steps you have not modified, desire you have not changed it, so it is matching with actual, and so zero change has happened here, zero change has happened, and so that will run zero time. Okay, zero time. But here third time when you run, and let's say again you have a 10 steps, and here you have a two changes, so it will run only those two steps. So how it will help you. So basically it check, try to understand the concept. It check what was your desire which is in the script and what was there in the server. If the desire is matching with the actual which is already available in the server, then there is no requirement for change. Okay, there is no requirement for running the any steps. But if you have changed the desire in your script and which is not matching with the server, then only Ansible will run. So Ansible is a safe to rerun 100 times, because it will not make changes until you change the either desire or someone change the servers manually. Okay, so here I was talking about in third run. Let's say you have a 10 steps to run, out of which you have change the two desire, so only 2 steps to run. So in this case, if you see 10 step, it will run, let's say, in a 10 minutes. Here, because there was no change in desire, so it did not run any steps. So here you got it done in 0 minutes, and here you had only 2 minutes, 2 changes, so you got it done in 2 minutes. So you see here, next time whenever you run, you save time. It's not like every time it will take 10 minutes. So this is something called idempotent functionality. So basically it check the state of the resources in the servers where it's changing, and if it is already done, do not do the changes. All of you understood what is the definition of idempotent? All of you?
Yeah, Raghav.
Yes, Raj.
Yeah, so guys, I was discussing about why Ansible. So one of the reason I said it's very easy compared to other programming language. It's a platform independent also. Ansible is idempotent also. Okay, so these are the reasons. By the way, there are so many other reasons also. Functional reason, like Ansible will help you in terms of consistent, okay, consistent change management. That is when you say consistent server change management, that means all the server, let's say hundreds of server, you want to deploy the same thing. So if you do manually, then there is no guarantee like whether you have done properly in each server or not. But if Ansible will do that, they will make sure that. That is what I was talking about here. Tool for what? Saving cost, save time, and improve uh, quality. So here consistent change management done on all the server. That's one of the advantages. You can take it up as a functional advantages. Now it can also save your time. So save time means how? Because it has a parallel deployment. Save time because of it has parallel deployment capability. Parallel deployment capability means here what happens, uh, what happens let's say, understand that if you do the sequence, think in if you do the linear deployment means one deployment takes 10 minutes. So how much time it will take to 20 server deployment? Okay, simple logic. 20 server deployment, so it will take how much time? It will take 20 is to 10 is equal to 200 minutes. But if you do the in a parallel deployment, then one server deployment, let me copy paste, that will be easy for me. One server deployment will take 10 minutes, and 20 server deployments also will take 10 minutes. Why? Because using Ansible you are doing the parallel deployment. So this is what I was talking about. You can save a time also. Okay, you can save a cost also. Save a cost means managing the server. So again, lots of things you can do that through Ansible. So ultimately you save time, save cost, improve quality, and many other stuff. Okay, so guys, did you understand that why do we need Ansible? Why we all are opting for Ansible? All of us? All of us? Everyone? Am I audible?
Yes, right. All good.
Okay. Okay. Now next question, guys. What about other tools?
To watch our complete session, enroll for our premium membership. Click onto the join button and enroll yourself with the best suited option.
What about other tools? Let's say you think, okay, Ansible is good, but I would like to know other tools also, and also I would like to compare other tools also. So if, let's say, if you don't like Ansible, then what other tools you like? So typically, if you want in CMD way, then typically you can use Puppet, second popular tool, Chef after that, and after that we have a Salt, and after that we have a CF engine. All these tools you can use it. Okay, top three tools which we have is Ansible, Puppet, and Chef. That's a These are the three tools we have: Ansible, Chef, Puppet. Now if you want the GUI based deployment tool which has a no which you have a configuration management tool, something like that, so you can go for udeploy, which is from the IBM, or you can go for Octopus deploy also. Octopus deploy. Okay, this is from the company called Octopus. So these are the two tools. So again, so many tools are popular in this domain. You can also use a tool which is called Terraform. Okay, Terraform is altogether different tool actually, but yeah, many people compare Ansible versus Terraform. So these are things, but you should not compare Terraform and Ansible because both are different tools actually, slightly different ways to get the work done. Okay, so yep, these are the other tools which will help you to get it done, whichever. And let me tell you, Ansible is a market leader right now in terms of server configuration management. Okay, server configuration management and deployment. So yes, you are learning best tool here. Now if you think, okay, you want to know the differences between Ansible and Puppet and Chef, so I would not give you the detailed differences, because you can also learn from the Google, but small simple comparison I can help you with it in a simple way. Let's say Ansible has been developed using Python, right? But this has been developed using Ruby, and here Chef also has been developed using Ruby. So now in a simple way, let me put it up. If you want to customize Ansible, then you need to know Python. If you want to customize the Puppet, you need to know Ruby. If you want to customize the Chef, you have to know the Ruby. Now it's up to you which programming language which is you are familiar and your teams are familiar with. Now here, remember Ansible, also we have a command line which is free. Here this is in a Puppet also command line which is free, and Chef also command line free. We have enterprises here also, which I talked about it. Enterprise here also, yes, and here also. Okay, now in terms of support, here support, here we have a, let's say I'll give 5 star. Here I will give, let's say, 4 star. This is based on my experience, and here I'll give 3 star. Here in terms of community contribution, so here I'll give 5 star. Again same thing here, probably 3.5 or something like that, or here also I'll go for 3 or something like that. Okay, now in terms of these are the stuff. In terms of, let's say, terminology, if you want to see that, more or less, see, remember, it's just like we are comparing the Ola versus Uber. The almost you find the same services, except here and there some of the stuff will be there. So typically Ansible, we call it agentless. Okay, but actually it is not in true way. We need to understand the architecture. But here we have an agent, and here we have agent. But you know one thing, if I see the Puppet also you can enable the agentless. Chef also you can do the agentless. But when I say agentless here right now, and here agent, basically their primary feature we supported with the agentless or agent. So here which agent is very popular? So here we have SSH protocol, and we have a WinRM protocol for Windows. Here we have a TCP, basically TCP for all this thing. TCP means some port number on which that agent will be running, and then you will be able to access it. But again, this is a conditional comparison, because again, Puppet also support agentless and Chef also, so understand this way. Okay, so these are the architecture difference whatever we have. Still in Ansible also we have a server and client. Puppet also we have a server and client. Anyways, we will discuss Ansible architecture in a much more detail in some time. Now let me talk about that in terms of terminology which we use it. Anyways, Ansible, I am yet to teach you the terminologies, but just for rough idea, you just want to get you know very comfy with it. So here in Ansible, the first program what you call it is a playbook, we call it. Okay, first program. And in Puppet we call it a Puppet program. Puppet program. And in Chef we call it what we call it. I forgot actually. So
Recipe? Recipes.
recipe, yeah, got it. Kitchen, yeah, got it. Recipe. And in here Ansible we call it a role. I mean, what is a role basically? So multiple playbook and blah 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 different things you will give it, they'll become a role. Here Puppet we call it a module, and here we call it a cookbook. Okay, now so here this is the way you have to go ahead with it. Now in the playbook, here what we have, here we have a module. Understand that in the playbook, I'm saying playbook, here you have a module, and in a Puppet program here we have a resources, and here in a recipe also here we have a resources. That is a kind of terminologies what we use it. So different terminology, more or less is the same thing, Ansible, Puppet, Chef. But yeah, because here there's a few things, right, which is important. Support and community is very powerful, which is very important. And again, Python, which is more friendly for the servers management guys and operations guys compared to Ruby. So that way you can think of like Ansible is better placed than Puppet and Chef. But my experience, whatever you can do with Ansible, you can do easily with also Puppet and Chef also. Okay, other tools like a Shalt and CF engine, I have not worked with it, so I cannot compare. Terraform I know very well, but I don't want to compare here because this comparison will not be right comparison, because it's a completely different world. Here also I'm not comparing the udeploy and Octopus deploy, because both are a GUI based tool. So again, I think it will be not right to compare. And again, probably GUI will be much easier if you want to use it for the sake of deployment and all. So yes, I'll just leave it as it is. I know these two tools also, but I don't want to compare. The fair comparison between the Puppet, Chef, and Ansible. Okay, so now guys, we have understood what are the other tools and what are the differences which we have it. Okay, any questions so far? Any questions so far? All of you, any questions?
It's fine, Rajesh.
No, Rajesh.
Okay, so what we have understood guys so far, what is Ansible? Okay, we understand in detail, and why do we call it a configuration management tool. Then we understand why do we need Ansible, why we have to use Ansible, and few reasons I gave it to you. And then we understand about the other tools. Now next topic which we have is, okay, fine, I understood that what and why, but how Ansible works, that is important. How Ansible works. Aka, you can call it Ansible architecture also. Okay, typically how Ansible work. So these are the things we should know that. So now let's understand that. So guys, in every architecture, software architecture, we have a one person, human, we software engineers, and then we talk to Ansible control server. Okay, now Ansible control server, in short we call it ACS. So from now onwards, I will call it ACS. So don't get confused. Okay, control server. Now let me tell you, don't Ansible, don't call it a server, because when I say server, then the place where we are running applications, where the place where we did deployment, that we call it a server. This is a Ansible control server, ACS. And where we do the deployment, that means see, we ask ACS to do the all the work, and ACS do the parallel deployment in the server. But here we call it a Ansible remote server. Okay, so understand that, remote server. So here that we call it a ARS, remote server. Now one thing which you need to understand, this could be many, this could be many. Okay, so this is the architecture. Now let's elaborate each and everything here. Let's elaborate here Ansible control server. So Ansible control server, primarily you have a one tool which is called Ansible. Okay, Ansible. Now this tool we have to install it. Now let me tell you here, apart from that, 10 plus tool also you will get it actually along with it. Okay, but here because Ansible is important, this is the same Ansible tool which I'm talking about here, is the command line here. Where is that? In the release options here, CMD, command line tool I'm talking about. You will find many other utilities also, you will find many other tools also, but typically we say, okay, in ACS we install the Ansible. Now installation process damn simple, it's just a matter of one command and your installation is done. Simple, very simple. Now what happens, Ansible, apart from that Ansible, we have one thing which we call it Ansible configuration. Now what is this Ansible configuration? So Ansible configuration file. So guys, understand that this Ansible has a certain built-in behavior, because Ansible is executable, right? It has a certain built-in behavior. And now if you want to change that built-in behavior, then you have to use the configuration file. Okay, understand that. This is not something which is Ansible only we have it. Every tools they have a configuration file. Using that we change the behavior, default behavior. Every tools, no matter which tool you are using, must be having some configuration file. So they read that from the configuration file and you can change the behavior of it. Okay, so if you want to change the behavior of Ansible, this executable, then you modify configuration file. I will teach you, don't worry about it. That's the second component. Third component we have in Ansible, Ansible playbook. Okay, or role also. Now what is a playbook? So for time being, I'm telling you, playbook is just like a script which you execute. Actually it's a YAML file, but for time being, not complicating. So whatever, it's like a deployment script, simple. It's like a deployment script. Playbook is like your deployment script. Whatever you want to do in the servers, that remote server, you write it here. Okay, and last point which we have is Ansible what is that, inventory. Okay, what is inventory? Again I'll discuss in detail, but I'll tell you, inventory is basically address of IP address of or DNS address of Ansible remote server. So this is also inventory. So see here, simple flow. Again, if you want to understand this simple flow, so human say, hey Ansible, read this configuration file, and if there are some customization, change your behavior, this behavior of Ansible executable, and after that take this script, and this script have all the logic, playbook has all the logic, role has all the logic, the changes which you want to do in the remote server, and run in this script in this one, this inventory means the IP address of remote server parallelly. That's all. So simple. So Ansible will change the behavior here, take the script input, take the where it has to be executed, and then it will run in each of these machines parallelly. This role and this playbook will be running in each of the machine parallelly. Are you understanding it, all of you guys?
Rajesh, yes.
Okay, so now this is the Ansible architecture. So now guys, here understand that few things. This has to be Linux 1. Yeah, it cannot be Windows. Linux and 64-bit only. Okay, this has to be Linux and 64-bit. But you know what? In ARS, it can be Linux any, basically. Any means Linux or Windows, anything. No problem in it. Okay, so it can be anything. Now here, let's say if it is a Linux here, and if the ARS is the Windows, Linux here. Okay, understand that. Here ACS is Linux anyways, and if ARS is Linux, so how they communicate, which protocol they use it? So they they use SSH. Understand that, SSH protocol. Now which is inbuilt in every Linux machine, you know that. Okay, now when ACS talk to the Windows ARS means remote server for deploying, then here they talk to WinRM. Understand that, WinRM. Okay, so these are the difference here. So when they communicate with the Linux ARS, then SSH, Windows ARS, WinRM. Okay, understand that in this machine, here you need to have a Python. Understand that. Here you need to have a Python, and here also you need to have a Python. So here, if you remember, I said it's agentless. Somewhere I said agentless. So why I said agentless? Because SSH and Python typically you will find in the every Linux machines 2.7 plus default, by default. That's the reason we say we don't have to install this here, anything else. But in when you have a Windows ARS, then in Windows machines you need to have a two things. Which are the things? One is a PowerShell 3.0, which is default nowadays, is coming with every Windows, and another one is a .NET 4.5x or something like that, which is nowadays also is coming in a default. So, and third thing which has to be installed, WinRM. Nowadays in Windows 2019 plus, that is also coming by default. WinRM, that is also coming default. Okay, so now that's the reason we call it agentless. If someone will ask you, okay, Python is really, I mean, Ansible is really agentless, then you say, yeah, actually it's agentless, but theoretically, I mean, conceptually it's agentless. But if you talk about the architecture theoretically, it is should be having Linux, Python, and Windows PowerShell 3.0, .NET 4.5, and WinRM. Let's say, because we call it agentless because by default all the Linux variant comes along with the Python, and all these Windows variants comes along with these versions. Okay, so these are the stuff. Did you understand, all of you?
What is the minimum requirement version for the Python for this Ansible to work in the ARS?
Very good question. Yeah, so here it has to be minimum 2.7x. Okay, that's the Python version. Here it can be minimum, that's considered to be 2.4x, but let's make it 7x, because I have not seen from last 2 years any Linux machine which is coming with a 2.4. is gone. So 2.7x. But remember, 3.0 is also there, Python 3.0. So you have to understand that one also. Okay, make sense, guys?
Yeah, thank you.
More questions? Okay, so let me help you to visualize this in a diagram. So look at this here. This is me. I will talk to ACS. This is ACS, Ansible Control Server. This has to be Linux only. And here what we have, Ansible we have, configuration we have, playbook we have, and last one which is inventory we have. So simple. Ansible we run with the playbook, take the inventory, process the configuration, and send this in the parallel, whatever the IP address you have here. Okay, this is a Linux, this is a Windows, Linux, Windows, and Windows they connect through the HTTP protocol. WinRM, remember HTTP protocol here. WinRM is a HTTP protocol. Okay, and here they talk to the SSH. Okay, and here there is nothing, no agent is there. Why no agent? Because SSH is already there. No, every Linux you have SSH, and here WinRM is also every Windows 2019 plus. Now it's coming by default. So anyways is there. So this is how this parallel deployment is there. So now what is the most important things here you have, which you need to know? How to write this script, that's the most important, and where to deploy, this is the most important. This is the two section which we have to focus next 3 days. That's all, because this server will be as usual. Did you all understood this, guys?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, Rajesh.
Okay, so this is the architecture, guys, of Ansible. Okay, so far we discuss about what is Ansible in detail, then discuss why Ansible, then discuss about the other tools and comparison, and then we discuss about how the Ansible works basically. Okay, Ansible architecture. Okay, now we'll have to detail discuss about this component of Ansible in detail. We'll discuss about one by one, but we'll have one break now, and after the break we'll have one test basically, and after the test I'll get into the remaining topics.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.